First things first, the spread is in the video description. It's a great way to supplement the culture spread I posted before and give a region of your game world a distinct identity. Now for my plant rant. When you choose your race, class, and background in D&D, an involuntary fantasy is conjured in association with those choices. Fighting hordes of enemies, wielding holy power against the undead, stealing treasure from the most secure places in the world. And for rangers and ranger-like characters, a part of that fantasy is being a citizen of two worlds: the civilized towns and cities of the realm, and the wild places that lay in between. So when you tell the DM you want to track an enemy through dense growth or forage for food, and they say, okay, since you're a ranger, you succeed because that's technically what the rules say, it falls a little flat. Your reward for having the right build at this juncture is that you get to play less D&D. Hello, I'm Skele the ADHDM, and it should come as no surprise that I've been playing a lot of Tears of the Kingdom. In the previous game, Breath of the Wild, you didn't regain health by mowing grass to find hearts. One of the first items you come across, if you walk down the linear path, is an apple. One of the first things you learn about apples is that you can roast them to increase the amount of health they restore. Then later on you learn that you can throw them in a cooking pot and add other items to make a meal. One of the most essential tools in the game if you want to punch above your weight class. As the game goes on, you get excited when you see specific kinds of carrots or mushrooms because you know they can give you awesome benefits when you cook them. You also start to recognize where they grow and in what number. In other words, you gain a sense of competency regarding the seemingly wild and unpredictable world of the game. We get excited about vegetables in a way that we never would about med packs or hearts, even though they are mechanically identical. That is because these resources are given to us in a way that serves the theme of the game. Although the past is riddled with failure and mistakes, nature will fill in the cracks. Food, transportation, wealth, combat improvements are all gathered in the wild and refined in pockets of civilization. We learn lessons from nature and apply them when we are sheltered once more. The things you find out in the wild and what they do all contribute to a greater image of the region that you find them in. I think that fits pretty squarely with our fantasies of nature in a game like D&D. If we look at the narrative opportunities that plants present, we can break it down into 5 categories that let us express different things about our world. The first category is plants general to the game world. These are the first signal to the players that they are departing out into the wild. Things that grow almost everywhere, like bracken, crabgrass, clover, or dandelions, are great templates to use for these. I'm going to use clover as a base. There's a little folklore behind them, with the odds of finding a 4-leaf clover being somewhat lower than encountering a shiny Pokemon. In my current setting, Montescaro, I imagine that our clover-like plant was brought over from the old world centuries ago. It could have been used to sow temporary grasslands for livestock, and like many invasive plants, it was left unattended and made a place for itself in the landscape at the expense of some other local vegetation.
Unabashed metaphor for colonialism.
I'm giving it 6 leaves. We'll call it Sevola. The rarer version, Setivola, has 7 leaves and is more blue in color. It's a nice addition to animal feed or the family supper, but people keep it out of their gardens. Children are sent to harvest it at the end of the day, excited to look for a Setivola. If you find one, it means the heavens favor what's in your heart. When it flowers, through the spring and early summer, those flowers are harvested to make candy, extracts for baking, and jellies. We can say that the red flowers, which grow at sea level, are sweeter, but the white flowers, which grow in the mountains, have a distinct flavor of their own and are used to flavor spirits. Next, we can look at a plant specific to the region, but pretty common in the area. For examples to draw on, it's great to look at a list of national or state flowers and trees. I like that mulberry trees attract a lot of songbirds, so I'll take the central, milder region of Montescaro, Veronia, and say that they have a lot of Canoro trees, named for the little birds that eat the berries and spread the seeds. I'll give medicinal properties to the leaves. Chewing them can help with nausea and poison. The berries, which grow in multiples just like mulberries or blackberries, are a vibrant red when ripe, and are used for pigments and for flavor. They are sweet and chewy, like dates, and the bark will be really fragrant when burned. Our third category is another region-specific plant that appears more rarely and only under certain circumstances. Plants that grow in undisturbed places and particular climates. Veronia has a big lake with an island in the middle. I'll say that on that island there is a moss called the Musga Sagra, which only grows at the feet of statues depicting unknown gods of the bygone Tezcoa Empire. Really, it just grows more easily on the porous stone at the base of the statues, and the damp air of the lake gives it the nutrients it needs. It grows dense and red. There aren't a ton of arcane spellcasters in Montescaro, but they can frequently be seen boating across the lake to harvest the Musga Sagra, which can be used in brewing potions and as a material spell component to extend the duration of the magic. Our fourth category is plants that serve as a warning of danger, or a sign of something good. I love fairy rings, so our fairy rings in this setting are going to be flowers that are practically invisible but bloom on moonless nights, emitting a light of their own, the same soft gold as their petals. They grow in circles of 5 to 10 feet in diameter. They serve as natural wards against evil. The church has claimed that these are the places where the saints prayed for guidance. And perhaps some of the newer ones are, but these flowers, called huehuehue, were here long before any Cantonian presence. If you see them on a moonless night, you had best step inside. They do not grow naturally in safe places. Harvesting them is considered to be in poor taste, but the petals can be used in divine spellcasting to various effects. They only grow on consecrated ground, so they will sometimes decorate rural sanctuaries and cemeteries. Art depicting the saints native to Montescaro will often have them holding or wearing one of these flowers. Our fifth and final category is a plant with cultural significance in ceremony. Of all the duchies in Montescaro, Veronia is most well known for its wine. So I'm going to make a kind of wild grape that grows along riverbeds in the region, particularly in canyons. Wine made from wild grapes, given as a wedding gift, is said to grant the couple the wisdom they need to speak openly to one another without judgment or apprehension. We'll just call them river grapes, or riuva, in the Katamari Damacy aggregate of Romance Iberian and Central American languages, that is, Cantonian. Once we have one or more examples for those 5 categories, we can codify their effects in the game rules, so the party has a mechanical reason to interact with them. For my purposes, I break those effects up into when consumed, smoked, drank, eaten, when used as incense, when brewed into potions, when used topically, as ointment applied to the edge of weapons or wrapped into bandages, or when used as spell components. So to recap, we choose one of our 5 categories, we decide on a kind of plant and a name for it, and then we figure out what it's used for. The next time the players are traveling through the woods, scouting a good place to set up camp, foraging for food, or otherwise finding their way through the wild, you can sprinkle in some encounters with these plants, or use them to supplement the encounters that you already have. If they come across an injured traveler, why not have a nearby glade with the healing herbs they'd need to save a life, with the warning that these plants grow in the footsteps of wandering spirits, so best not to still be there after dark. The blacksmith can make a magic sword for the fighter, but the secret is treating the metal with oil from a tree that grows in the heart of the southern swamp. The party can't afford a diamond to cast Raise Dead, but there is a flower that only grows deep in enemy territory, and if it is kept alive, it can be used as a substitute. These encounters can serve to introduce the party to these plants, so that when they see them later, they already have an understanding of their uses. More importantly, they give the players another facet of the world beyond their character sheet to reach out and interact with when they have problems to solve. There's a public post on my Patreon, that means non-patrons can see it, with the spread, a printable worksheet, and some examples for each type of effect. If you come up with any of your own, I would love to see them. No context, tweets, or comments with drawings and descriptions of your made-up plants, or even mushrooms, I won't call the taxonomy police, will delight me and confuse everyone else. You can also join our Discord. All of these links are in the description. If you like this kind of worksheet-based world building and game prep, I bet you'll love what I've got coming up soon, so subscribe and you won't miss it. Thank you to my Antediluvian Lurker and Dungeon Delver tier patrons, Adam M, IronTrash, Troy, Borkware, Courtney Monster, Katie B, M, Mitch B, Noah, Raspilicious, Sam, Shawn S, and Shawn M. And as always, thank you for watching.